I came across a thread on Reddit where someone was asking about net worth and salary and whether or not they could afford a Lotus Emira. A Lotus Emira is a $100,000 car currently, and the comments were very mixed. A spectrum of comments. On one side saying that unless you're a multimillionaire, you shouldn't buy a Lotus Emira. But most people in a car enthusiast forum were, of course, on the other side, saying that life is short, you got to enjoy it. And it frustrates me that there's no nuance in any of these discussions. It's either you enjoy life and you're fiscally irresponsible, or you're fiscally responsible and you hate your life and you don't have any fun with cars. And I saw one comment where someone suggested that their net worth would be relevant to how much car they could buy, and someone else said, well, net worth being a metric of how much car you can buy is completely idiotic and backwards, and it has no bearing because all that matters is income. Obviously, this guy does not have the best understanding of finances or math. The reason why your net worth is very relevant to how much car you can buy is because your net worth is very relevant to your overall lifestyle. The reason your net worth is very important and very relevant is that it's relevant to just about anything you buy. Think of it this way. If you're a student with a negative net worth and you graduate, and let's say, just for the sake of easy numbers, you're making 100K right after graduating. If you have negative 100K and you're making 100K, it'll still take you a few years to pay that off because of taxes and because you don't just put every dollar you make towards your loans. So if you make 100K and have negative 100K in net worth, you should not be buying any kind of fancy car because of that negative net worth. But if you were worth $10 million and you were still making just 100K, a couple things. Probably you made that money because of inheritance, which is one of the most common ways, despite what people may say online, because no one likes to admit that where you come from is a massive, massive, massive leg up. Or you joined whatever company and you got some stock options and you joined a startup or whatever and it worked out. You took some risk by doing so. Awesome. But in the latter case, even though your income is still only 100K, because you have 10 million in net worth, you can handle way more car than your income alone would suggest. Because if you're intelligently invested with that $10 million, it's throwing off cash. And I don't just mean dividends, but your net worth is rising every year. And if you guys have heard about things like the 4% rule, which a lot of people, including myself, actually suggest the 3% rule is a much more reasonable way of approaching things for early retirement. That means that assuming you are invested that entire $10 million in equities, and actually I guess it's a mixture of equities plus bonds, mostly equities, etc. We don't need to get into the nitty gritty, but you could live off of that $10 million indefinitely by taking out $300,000 per year. Because as the principal grows from your investment returns and you're drawing some out every year, it'll allow you to continue in perpetuity despite the market downfalls and such. It's accounting for that. So that's why net worth is incredibly important with regards to how much car you can buy, and why those who are fortunate enough to have come from some level of privilege, and I mean, people that have their college paid off, their down payment handled, which, by the way, is much higher percentage than you actually realize, and I only realized this in the last year or two after talking to more and more people. There's nothing wrong with it, just don't compare yourself to someone that started on third base, and you're comparing their home run to your performance when you're starting at the home plate. And that's why, if you're a young professional, let's say you just got out of dental school or PA school, or you're an engineer, and you see people around you that are maybe a similar age, similar income, and they're driving these fancy cars, you're like, damn, what am I doing wrong? Remember, it might not be that you're doing anything wrong. It might be that they're making the same income, they're also living frugally and investing, but maybe they just had help that you didn't. Or maybe they're not making intelligent decisions and they're just living above their means. That's a game you don't want to play either. So to that person who started the Reddit thread to say, hey, what are your net worths and incomes? I need to determine whether or not I can get a Lotus Emira at my current net worth and income, which I think was like $1 million and making 200K. To him, I would say everyone's going to have a different rule, a different definition of what is reasonable for buying a $100,000 toy car. A popular one, the two that I've heard most frequently would be car worth less than a third of your yearly income, which would put him around 67K for a car, not 100K, or 10% of your net worth, and if he's worth $1 million, then 100K is right around there. So he's kind of on the cusp on what I have seen, but again, depending on whether you want to live life a little bit more frugally or more freely, you may want to move those numbers up or down. You may say 5% of net worth or 10% of income or whatever it may be. Maybe you're fine with 20% of your net worth. I don't know. You take those numbers and you go up or down from there. And the important thing is that you stick to those rules even when you're tempted to deviate. The reason why net worth is so important is because of the compounding effect. Once you get $1 million in assets, and assuming those assets are invested and appreciating, then it starts snowballing. And you'll get to the point where in a given year, you will make more from your investment returns than you ever have in your yearly salary. Obviously, it's gonna take you several years to get there and aggressive investing. But that's the power of compounding. And that's why I keep harping on the whole point of people that have an advantage. It's not just $100,000. It is much more than that. And when I say just $100,000, I'm giving you the example of saying that they had their college loans paid off or they had a down payment or whatever. Down payment in California, a lot of my friends, $200,000, $300,000, sometimes even $400,000 their parents helped them out with. Awesome for them, but it's not just the same as putting $400,000 on your lap. It's the opportunity cost of that. It's the compounding effect of that X number of dollars over several years that it would take you to earn that. You now have so much more disposable income to spend on cars and other things when you don't have to worry about saving for your down payment or maxing out your 401k because you already have a large nest egg. Anyway, my friends, let me know what you think. What are your personal rules? At what point do you think someone can justify buying a $100,000 car? I would argue that whatever rule you create for yourself should be for all the vehicles you own, not just a fun sports car, but the total value of all your vehicles combined should fall under one single rule, just to keep things simple. If you want to have one car or 3 cars, that one rule can encapsulate all those various scenarios. And I'm curious what you think. Leave a comment below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Much love, my friends. And I'll see you all in that next one.